This season has been the Hargraves and Proudfoot show, with each taking all the wins until Lanier. Billy Northcutt finally became the third different winner to take a victory this season, ending a long dry spell. Now that the drivers have hopped over the Florida border, Volusia allows them to reset and see if anyone else can join the winner's circle. We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 9 of the Bootleg Racing League's Dirt Street Stock Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beer. Volusia is a unique speedway in many ways, not just for its shape, but its history as well. Let's head to our track guide to learn more.
Welcome to Barberville, Florida and Volusia Speedway Park, a track that bills itself as the world's fastest half mile, as a sprint car holds the record around here at 12.5 seconds. That's even more incredible when you look at the track. While it's listed as an oval, the backstretch has more of a D shape, and the corners are long and sweeping enough that even down the front straight, in some cars, you're never going truly straight here. And the turns, while banked, they are only banked at about 10 degrees, so it is those long, sweeping corners that really help those high downforce cars keep the power down. Volusia wasn't always paved, even held some NASCAR races in the late 80s and early 90s, but the asphalt was tore up and the dirt put back in around 1998. Since then, in addition to your weekly complement of street stocks, late models, and modifieds, the World of Outlaws makes trips to Volusia every February. The sprint cars one week, followed by the late models the next, all a part of the annual Dirt Car Nationals. Can't forget the UMP Modifieds tearing up the clay surface here as well. They make several trips here a year. Now it's time to see if today's crowd can claim a win at the world's fastest half mile.
DJ, we're back at a bigger track for these dirt street stocks. How do you think they'll play out on a half miler?
Well, Joe, the one thing I can tell you about this is it is going to be fast around here at Volusia. It looks like probably the mid or the high line is going to be the way to go, although we've seen some drivers being experimental with some lower lines trying to cut down the amount of time they're going to spend on track. One of the trickiest things, though, and one of the most special things about Volusia is that back straightaway, though. When you're in the car, it doesn't feel straight at all. You are constantly turning on the wheel. So look for some really interesting maneuvers being made down that back stretch. A lot of side-by-side is going to go in there. And then the very, very long turn 3 and 4. It seems like it goes on forever. But one way or the other, I think it is going to be some good racing out here tonight, and these street stocks always put on a good show when we come down into the Sunshine State.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite dirt tracks, honestly, on iRacing. But let's take a look at the championship. And up at the top of it, Brandon Proudfoot is still well far ahead of everybody else. J.R. Shepard about 90 points back, and Hargraves beating him last round has closed back in within 1 point between them. Hargraves missed a round, which is why he is so far down despite taking multiple wins. Northcutt jumps up towards 4th with John Wilson chasing him, and Northcutt could have a shot to maybe try to overtake Shepard, depending on how JR can finish out the season. He has been quick, but is yet to take that victory that he's been looking for. I believe you have race details, though. DJ, why don't you run us down?
Well, I do indeed, Joe, and as you can see popping up on our screen, we are on the 9th of 11 rounds here, and as I mentioned, we will be running those dirt street stocks out here today. Now, it's a heat race format, and what that means is that drivers will go out here in a couple of minutes for a 4-lap solo qualifying session. We will take the best time that drivers are able to put down, and that will grid up the field into a series of heat races. In those heat races, the top 3 drivers will automatically advance into the A main. All other drivers will be relegated to the B main. Now, we only have about 13 drivers currently registered in the session, so nobody's going to be bumped in that B main. Not going to have to worry about not making the show, and instead it's just going to determine the starting order for the back of the field. Now, once we get to that A main, it's going to be 40 laps. That's going to be the only time we see a yellow flag get thrown out here tonight. And so that'll make things very interesting for the drivers. As always, no resets, no watering down of the track. So it's going to be a big thing to see just how much these drivers can read the track as it evolves throughout the course of the night.
Right now, it's still looking pretty decent in condition. The slicked up areas are quite small, and it's only 63 degrees Fahrenheit on the track surface itself, so it's looking like it's pretty cool. Hopefully should retain a lot of moisture, and as you can see, at least mildly humid since we are down in Florida. Now, what is interesting is I haven't seen Brandon Proudfoot set a time yet. Oh, no, I take that back. He has set a time now. It looks like he's just gotten out on track finally. He's only set about 2 laps, and the 22 is well at the back of the field in the warm-up. Some of that, DJ, could be because he didn't put the car out on the track here until very late, but odd that we're not seeing him show up until the dying stages of the warm-up.
Indeed, especially considering what Proudfoot's told us before, that he is a very, very rhythm-type driver, likes to really build up the feel of the track and gets better as it goes along. So a little strange to see him entering so late, Joe. I wonder if that means he's going to have another bad qualifying. We've seen that from him a couple of times over the course of this season.
Indeed. We've just got about 2.5 minutes left to go. This is Joe Segala that we're on board with. Northcutt, last round's winner, is actually topping the timing sheets over William Hargraves. So let's see if he can manage to do that once again and maybe even overtake second in the points this season. He hasn't got many rounds left to do it. It will require some bad luck on those on the part of those that he is chasing down. The 81 of Joe Segala doing pretty good for him up there in fourth. We'll see if he can back that up in terms of race pace here today. I'm kind of curious if we're going to have this track bite anybody, because I know in my experience, it seems like the exits of 2 and 4 really seem to creep up on you.
Yeah, they really do, Joe. As I mentioned in that track description, very, very long corners, and the wall sort of comes out of nowhere at you. You tend to try to carry a lot of momentum, a lot of speed through the corner, and if you're not completely stable on it, it will just come out and grab one of those tires. We continue to watch here Segala, though, doing a pretty good job, but you can see the inside of the track really starting to slick up, and then as he comes here through 3 and 4, look how dark that middle and high line are getting. That's going to cause some real problems for drivers if it is that dark this quickly.
Yeah, entry's definitely seen that black line form in the warm-up. Who knows what it'll look like by the end of the heat races, which from the appearances of things, I think we'll only get 3 heats today. I'm pretty certain. We'll see once they line up here in maybe about 6 minutes time. Just a minute left of the warm-up and 5 minutes of qualifying. They each get 4 laps to try and set their quickest. Wilson's not doing too bad for himself either, and I feel like we've been saying that a lot, but haven't really seen the results as much in the feature race from the 75.
No, he's been able to put in some really good fast lap times, but seems to struggle over long run pace, stringing those quick laps together. But you've got to start somewhere, Joe, and it has been a remarkable improved performance from him in this season. So very interested to see if he's able to close out the year strong, the Canadian driver, and maybe even carry some good momentum into the next season of this series.
There we go. Session going to tick over. And we're getting ready to start the qualifying. So Billy Northcutt, the quickest in the warm-up, and is always a little bit flattered by those who get out early on these tracks since they start completely fresh. We'll see if he can back it up as the cars now take off on their qualifying laps. I think some of our first ones actually will be Hargraves and Northcutt.
Well, all right. A little bit of a change there from normal Actually, I should say it's only Proudfoot that we see come out later, so not surprising there. But we follow here Billy Northcutt in that 00 car, trying to run the high line, carry as much momentum as he can around the relatively flat banking here at Volusia, crosses the line, and this is his flying lap.
Is this a new paint scheme that we're seeing on him as well? I don't really remember him being in red and black and a little bit of splash of purple. I do like this paint scheme. It looks quite fancy, easy on the eyes. So he comes around 3 and 4, first flyer. Is this going to be quick? He's liking that low line there on 3 and 4. A 19.598 Hargraves with a 19.530. But Billy Hargraves has quit on his second lap, so he's not going to go around for another one. And Northcutt doing similarly.
We've seen this a couple of times before from these drivers, that they'll go out and set a fast lap quickly as the track is very fresh and then come out a little bit later. Here's John Wilson to the line. Wilson not able to improve from third, but that's a good time for him as it stands with a 19.6.
And Bobby Hayes is back once again to try and challenge his teammate Proudfoot. He's actually just starting his next flyer now as we watch Wilson come around. And this next one for Wilson, not going to be faster than his 19.6.
Yeah, not going to be able to do that. Here's Bobby Hayes, though, working that car down to the low line, seeing what he can do to get that car spooled up. He's going to cross the line with a 19.742. That's going to put him up into 7th place. Going to need some more speed to try to challenge some of those front runners.
Yeah, a bit far down from what we're used to seeing for the 13. Only 2 have not set a time is Shepard and Proudfoot, but Proudfoot just pulled out of the pits. The 22 is a question mark here. We don't know exactly what he's got underneath him, but we're going to watch Northcutt, who's returned to the track, and he's improved to a 19.531. He is 1,000th off of Hargraves.
Absolutely incredible, Joe. You can see there are live timing and scoring. Pylon not even able to register the difference between the two. Looks like he may have tagged the wall a little bit there. That could invalidate his lap, but lining up now to go into 3 and 4.
And Proudfoot's first lap is up for 4th. Yeah, Northcutt has finished all 4 of his laps, so he's done. Hargraves is actually holding on to his. He's still got 3 more. Proudfoot is coming around for lap number 2. Is he trying to get that spooled up? Because he was way up high through there. Yeah, I think that was him trying to set the car up for a flyer here on lap number 3. This one right up against the cushion. Eases out onto the back stretch. He's still got plenty of time for these final 2 laps, but will they be fast? All the way down to hugging that inside line for 3 and 4, but it's not going to be faster.
Man, you weren't wrong, Joe. Absolutely hugging that line through 3 and 4, almost getting into the attenuator there, leading on to pit lane. Let's see if he does something similar here through 3 and 4. No, he's going to run high again, try to carry momentum. Little bit of a cut down midway through the corner. I don't think this is going to be a fast enough time for him, but he should have 1 more lap to try to spool it up.
No, that was it. That was his 4th lap. And Proudfoot is going to do no better than 5th today. Qualifying has been an Achilles heel for him recently, as J.R. Shepard finished his 4th lap, and it does not go faster than his 19.6 flat. Hargraves returns to the track. He's already got the pole, so at this point, he's just showing off.
Yeah, just trying to get a little bit more feel for the track here, I would imagine. He will be starting off in the first heat, so this is just a little bit of an exploratory run for the 71. You can see him there taking that high line. We ride on board here. Good job with the steering wheel, also doing a little bit of feathering with the throttle as well. A little bit of counter steer, running some good lines. Now he's going to try low through 1 and 2.
All the way out along the back stretch once again. This is his last flyer in these final 20 seconds. And a lot of drivers really liking this lowest line down through 3 and 4. Very few have gone higher than that, but it's not going to be quicker for the 71. He didn't improve on his pole time. The narrowest of margins, yeah, depending on where you're looking between the 2 of them. On iRacing, it says the 19.530, which is exactly what Hargraves has. But my timing and scoring separate from that says a 19.531. Well, with this one set, let's go through our starting order for the first heat of the night. And it is indeed 3 heats that we'll have. Up on the top, it'll be William Hargraves with John Wilson starting in second, and Joe Segala will be on the inside of row 2.
Bobby Hayes is going to be lining up behind him in 4th with Chris Hazlip in 5th.
Okay, looks like we got all 5 out there, so we should see the pace truck take off here any moment now. William Hargraves trying to get himself his 3rd win of the season to try and play catch up to Brandon Proudfoot. Of course, the championship is looking a little bit far out of reach because from here, Brandon just has to points race to the end to basically seal it up with a massive 90-point difference and only 3 rounds to go, including today.
He does indeed, Joe, but I have to say, him not having these good qualifying performances may come back to bite him. We have seen time and time again, you start farther back in the field and it gets harder and harder to avoid incidents. So this has really got to be a chance for Hargrave to just try to press his advantage as much as possible.
Maybe throw caution to the wind a little bit. See if that nets him better results. Can we see something good from John Wilson? His qualifying not too bad, of course, having managed to put it into 4th place. So that was actually where he had it in the warm-up as well. It seems he is quite as quick as that made it implied that he was. Watching the nose of Bobby Hayes behind him currently, or were on the bumper of the 75 momentarily. 5 cars in heat with only 6 laps to determine the victor, and only 3 of them will automatically go to the feature race. As the green flag waves, Hargraves gets a decent jump. Wilson riding the high side and actually looking like he's got great momentum. He's going to challenge the long way around.
That was a really mega run there for Wilson coming off the line. There you see Hargraves pushing up ahead a little bit, runs a defensive slider. Oh, contact in the back. That's Segala and Wilson getting into each other.
Yeah, and that tipped him into Bobby Hayes a little bit, but Bobby Hayes is going to try and pull the slider over Segala. Segala cuts back underneath him. The 81 has a nose ahead on the bottom line into 3 and 4. High side does not look fast today. Bobby Hayes falls back quickly.
No, it does not. But Joe, if you watch those cars coming through 3 and 4, you can see just how much correcting they were having to do, not really able to carry a good lot of momentum through the corner. Let's see if drivers are able to keep that power down a hair more. Both of your leaders here going to the high side. We continue to focus on Bobby Hayes, the only driver to run low.
Nearly got him ahead of the 81. He's going to try it again. Doesn't seem to really have the speed, being pinched down on that inside line. And poor John Wilson, he had a go at it. He maybe saw his one and only chance, and it didn't quite work out. He remains in second, falling back. Once again, it looks like Bobby Hayes is pulling in a lot of time on that shorter distance at the bottom, but then he can't hold it across the line.
Yeah, he really can't. Tries to go for a little bit of a slide job there, and Wilson's going to be able to, or Segala rather, is going to be able to get back under him, but we keep focusing here on our leaders as they cross the line for 1 to go.
White flag is out. Hargraves looking to take a heat victory here. And Bobby Hayes had another go, but it didn't stick on Segala. Up at the front, Wilson keeping him honest, keeping pace with that 71, which has got to be encouraging for him. But it is still Hargraves who wins here today for the first heat. Wilson second, Segala third. Hayes and Hazlip will go to the B main.
Well, Joe, in watching that race, we were talking about the potential for overtaking. It looks like the way to get it done here today is going to be on that slider line. We'll have to see if that continues here as we get ready for heat number 2.
Absolutely. Only 4 drivers in this one. Billy Northcutt starts on the inside of the front row. He'll be flanked by Brandon Proudfoot.
Behind them will be Brendan Myers in 3rd and Jason Best in 4th.
All right. So quickly they are off and on their way. And someone not getting off the line. What's wrong with Jason Best's car? Okay, now he's going. Or is there still something wrong?
Looks like he's trying to catch up right now, Joe. I can't really see anything that would be causing it. Yeah, he's caught up to the field here. I think that was just a desire to not really send too much force through the tires, maybe run a risk of running into the wall here. Hanging back a little bit for Best, but we'll jump back and jump on board here. This is the driver starting in P2, Brandon Proudfoot.
What has been happening to Proudfoot's qualifying? Is it just down to what he keeps saying, that he needs that rhythm, needs to really be in the zone, in the groove, if you will, to get those quick laps? Or is it something else that's tugging on him? Is he finding he doesn't quite like this new tire model as much as the old one, potentially? Maybe those first few laps just don't quite work for him until they get up to speed. 4 drivers to decide, and only one of them will go to the B main today. Let's see if Northcutt can get his own heat victory. Green flag is out. It's a good jump for the 0 car, as the 22 of Proudfoot's going to try and go underneath on the low side. That didn't work for a lot of drivers last heat, and it's not going to work for the 22 this time.
Yeah, that high line through 1 and 2 just carrying a little bit too much momentum there. Ooh, good run there, though, through 3 and 4. He's going to be side by side with Northcutt. They cross the line. Northcutt able to carry a little bit of momentum, and Proudfoot going to jump back down to the low line here.
And he didn't lose the nose ahead like we saw with Bobby Hayes before and the last heat race. All the way fully ahead of him. Does he slide up on top? He doesn't quite cut off Northcutt. He's going to give him space to the outside behind them. It's been staying side by side between Best and Myers, too. Very different racing from what we saw before.
Yeah, but Joe, coming through 1 and 2 there, it was exactly what we saw in that last heat. The slide jobs coming into play. There you see the most little bit of one there from Billy Northcutt, as now Proudfoot's going to dive down low. If he's got the crossover, he'll go for it. Tries to slide up the track, but has to check his momentum as Northcutt able to pull himself ahead.
Ooh, a little bobble there, too, from the 22 as the nose starts to dance. Is he going to try and get in front of him? Oh, almost making side-to-side contact off the corner. It is looking supremely difficult to make those overtakes stick. Behind them, you can see side by side, Myers and Best have been going at it hammer and tongs for some laps now.
They really have. It just looks like when you try to throw a slider here, the car does not want to stop momentum, just keeps carrying on up the track. Northcutt doing a very good job to stay under pressure and set the fastest lap, and this is the white flag lap, so it's now or never for Brandon Proudfoot.
Does he try and chuck it in? Hasn't really seemed like his style in races past. Ooh, and I think he nosed it into the inside wall, so it will be Northcutt who wins this heat. Proudfoot still gets second where he started, and Myers in third, with Jason Best limping home in 4th position. And he will go off to the B main, which means it's time for the 3rd and final heat of the night to set the starting positions for our 2 mains. J.R. Shepard starts on the inside of the front row with Austin Belke to his right side.
Chris Davis is going to line up to the inside of row 2, followed by Ryan Seneker in 4th.
Okay, there goes the pace car. And we've got J.R. Shepard, eager to prove himself, yet still in this series, having good pace, showing opportunities for the win, but none materializing quite yet. The 98 is getting oh so close to it. He's been teasing us with that celebration here and there.
He certainly has, Joe, and in this heat, the driver I'm going to be keeping an eye on is Chris Davis. Always normally a pretty aggressive driver starting out in that 3rd place position. Going to be very interesting to see what he tries to do to get around Belke and Shepard, and if he's able to maybe get a move done on a hyper-aggressive angle or something.
Yeah, there have been very close calls as to whether or not cars can actually overtake, but it seems that it's a tough one. Just something about the nature of this track makes it hard to make it stick. So we ride on board with our pole sitter there for a brief moment. We're looking back at Chris Davis. The pace truck should peel in this time by, giving control to J.R. Shepard. There it goes, and the green flag is out. It looked like a good start for Shepard, but then he blinked out for me, and he's blinking a bit again. Austin Belke behind him won't like that. Davis does make a bit of an aggressive move down to the inside of one, but it doesn't produce second.
No, it doesn't. He's going to try again for the inside here, maybe looking for a little bit more of a slider as Shepard continuing to have some internet connection problems there. A little bit of a squirrely exit off of 4 for Chris Davis. That's going to cost him some time. They're going to go into turn 1 single file.
Very quickly single file. Will this change as the race goes on? Or is this everybody's maximum pace down into 3 and 4? Belke keeps seeing the leader disappear. I have to imagine he's crossing his fingers, hoping that it doesn't come back one of these times and he could inherit a heat win.
Yeah, it'll certainly be something he is going to be hanging on for, but looks like Shepard at the moment, internet is holding out for him, and he's able to hold about a 0.4 of a second lead here over Belke, really starting to try to stretch his legs up front with 3 to go.
Some serious problems with that 98's internet. Really hoping it holds out here, even as much as the 24 hopes that it doesn't. Down through 3 and 4, we're coming to 2 to go this time by. Davis has been holding on and back in third, but Seneker seems to really lack the pace today. He's already a 1.5 seconds behind the nearest car.
Yeah, just not able to catch up at all. Coming here through 3 and 4 for the penultimate time. Good slide of a line there for J.R. Shepard. Belke looks like he's able to carry a little bit through mid-corner and indeed cut that gap down to about 0.18 of a second.
Last lap, 1 to go. And J.R. Shepard continues to hold down the fort. Belke, does he try and chuck it in? No, he does not. He's going to wait patiently. He still will get to advance as J.R. Shepard takes the win in the third heat. Belke second, Chris Davis third, Seneker comes home in fourth and is heading off to the B main, which starts right now. And because the field is so small, we actually only have 4 cars competing in this one as well. So let's go through our starting order for this evening's consolation race. Bobby Hayes will start it on the pole. Jason Best will be in second.
Ryan Seneker will be lining up behind them in fourth, and Chris Hazlip will bring up the back of the field in fourth place.
Okay, so this will determine who starts close to the mid-pack and who starts in dead last for this evening, and we'll have the hardest time trying to make up positions. Bobby Hayes, who couldn't seem to get his way into the advancing spots, now has a shot. Let's see what he can do with it, as we're going to go around one more time here on this short half-mile oval from Florida. We're on board with Jason Best to his outside.
You can really see there, Joe, as we were talking about during the practice sessions, just how much that entry on the high line is starting to slick in a little bit. That's why you're seeing drivers diamond off the corner a little bit more, try to avoid that and avoid the ability for the car to over-rotate.
As far as rotation goes, before that, they got to launch in a straight line down the front stretch towards turn 1. Who's going to get the best jump among them? Green flag is out, and Hayes is looking good. Almost too good of a jump there for Chris Hazlip, who looked like he got into the back of Jason Best there at the beginning. Best going to try and cut underneath, see if he can pull that switcheroo on Bobby Hayes, and he's going to have a nose to the quarter panel.
He did, got a really good jump there, coming on a little bit of a slider line through 1 and 2, and throws a great slider there to get fully ahead of Bobby Hayes. Jason Best taking the lead here in this B main, but Hayes is not done. He starts to come up contact between the two.
And a second time as they come off the corner, both of them keep it pointed forward. This is getting rough early. They have more laps in this one than they did in the heats to try and figure this one out, but you wouldn't know it by the way they're racing here.
No, you would think this was 5 laps to go in the feature event, but here they start to calm down a little bit. Hayes falling back, not able to carry as much momentum off of turn 2 as his rival Jason Best was in front. Good dive down into turn 3 though from Hayes, but again, momentum shifting back to Jason Best on a little bit of a higher line.
Wow, I did not expect this, especially with how tough it's been to try and make overtakes, but Jason Best has found the magic juice. And as he sends it around the high line, Bobby Hayes going to try to stick it underneath, but he's going to get pinched down on the exit. And with 6 to go now, he's going to have to try something else. Once again, working on the bottom side, but almost getting into the quarter panel of the 47.
Yeah, both drivers suffering from a little bit of over-rotation there in the mid-corner. Best was a little bit earlier, so he was able to get on the power faster. There again, that tail wanting to slide out on Jason, but he's able to use it to his advantage and power down the straight, holding that gap to a pretty good margin here. Only halfway through the race, though, so plenty of time for Bobby Hayes to try to catch this back up.
Boy, this has basically come down to Best and Hayes. Look at how much they've dropped Seneker and Hazlip behind them. Bobby staying within 0.3 of a second. They're down to 4 laps to go now, past the halfway mark of this race. Can the 13 reclaim that top spot? He'd be the first driver this evening who would start from that first position but not finish there.
And there you saw coming out of turn 4, Bobby Hayes trying to carry as much momentum as he can, but that actually sent him up the track, got a little bit of wheel spin coming out of the exit of turn 4, and that cost him a couple of tenths of a second. Let's see if he is able to correct that mistake here, coming through 3 and into 4 right now. Not able to really gain any time as they cross the line with 2 laps to go.
Yeah, this is not looking good for Bobby Hayes. Ever since he got passed, hasn't even really gotten much side-by-side racing with the 47 unless he gets a sudden incredible burst of speed. Not expecting him to be able to take it because the white flag is already out. Coming out of 2 onto the backstretch, Hayes closes in a little bit, but it'll be too little too late. Down into 3 and 4. Jason Best, with a fantastic bit of overtaking and racecraft, will win the consolation race here today in the Bootleg Racing League. Hayes was 2nd, Seneker 3rd, and Hazlip in 4th.
Yeah, good run there. And again, we saw just what that slider line can do. And Jason Best proving that if you've got a will, there is a way to get on by.
Now we head into the warm-up. I know it's become a little bit of tradition, but I have to ask it every time, DJ. What did you notice most about those heats in the consolation?
Well, what I've really noticed, and this is going to come into play on starts and restarts, is just how much momentum you can get if you go high off of that first turn. Now, remember, when we get into the main main here, drivers do get lane choice as they go along. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we see a driver or two maybe deciding to go high and try to carry that momentum through there. Jason Best, the only one able to go a little bit counter to that with a slider line. So that is something to very, very much keep in mind.
Here we see the number 71 out there on track right now, leading this warm-up session. Oh, John Wilson was up into 2nd briefly, then he gets bumped by Billy Northcutt. Wonder if we'll get Brandon Proudfoot finally into the mix. He's currently sitting 4th. But this race this evening has looked a lot more like it's Northcutt versus Hargraves rather than Proudfoot versus Hargraves, as we've seen for not only the entirety of this season, but a little bit of last season as well.
Indeed, it's certainly a little bit of a change of pace, but Joe, we've seen a couple of times that Proudfoot comes on strong in the late race, so let's not count him out quite at this point. Although him being down in 5th right now, certainly a surprise.
Yeah, it looks like Jason Best goes quicker than him in the warm-up, and this has all been everybody on essentially the same track. It's obviously evolving quite a bit with 10 of them already out on the surface and tearing it up, but wouldn't think it would be drastic enough that it would really change up their pace that differently between them, especially with Proudfoot usually quite quick. The advantage is usually enough in just his skill that he's able to get up into the top 3 times. We ride on board with him down the front stretch, showing an idea of how wide this track is, but at the same time, the line feels kind of narrow.
Very much so, Joe. You know, it's not like Kokomo where we're used to seeing 3 and sometimes even 4 wide. You watch Proudfoot there, though, trying to experiment with some lines, getting up into the gray. This normally develops down into a semi-one groove track. You normally find the low or the high line is the way to go, and you can kind of run some variations here on sliders to try to get by, but Volusia is a unique track in that regard. You think it should run super wide, but in reality, it almost runs a little bit more like a Fairbury in the way that you would come through the corners.
Now down to just a little more than a minute and a half to try and get your line dialed in. And you can see the places where that slicked up line has grown even more. In fact, coming off the corner, I'm seeing a few little areas definitely worn in there down into 1 and 2. And you can see there, look at the bottom line, how shiny that is.
Yeah, that's really going to present some problems when we get into the feature with a lot of drivers trying to go low there at the top, and that can really throw off the balance of the car.
Somebody else coming out of pit lane here. That's Segala, just making his way out. It's always a tricky one to try and find some clear air if you do have to come into the pits, but thankfully it's not a series where they have scheduled stops. If anybody is in, they're basically taking their spare car and getting back out there to see if they can salvage what's probably become an unfortunate night.
Yeah, we haven't really seen a lot of drivers be able to recover from diving into the pit lane, but never say never, Joe. On a longer track like this, you know, it's not like a Kokomo or a Fairbury or a Chili Bowl even, where if you come into the pits, you are done and you're a lap down. There's probably a good chance that if you're able to dive in, get that fast repair, you can get back out without losing a lap.
See if anybody really has a fast crew. But hopefully we won't see anyone have to DNF or take that spare car today, because we like to see some clean racing. And it's been pretty clean racing throughout the heats and the consolation. Some intense battles, some very tight battles amongst a few of them. Nothing that really came down to somebody's race being ended, though. And there's the checkered flag. So we're now heading over to our race session in just a moment. Our grid has been set. Let's go through that starting order today. It is the 71 of William Hargraves, who will start on the pole position. Then it is Billy Northcutt in second, followed by J.R. Shepard in P3 and John Wilson to his outside. Brandon Proudfoot will be fifth with Belke in sixth, and rounding out the first half is Joe Segala starting from P7.
In eighth is going to be Brennan Myers, followed by Chris Davis. And in 10th is going to be your B main winner, Jason Best, followed by Bobby Hayes. And then bringing up the back row of the grid, it'll be Ryan Seneker and Chris Hazlip.
I think, well, nope, not everybody is gridded up. Now we've got them all out there. We were waiting on Billy Northcutt. It looks like he has joined the crew. We do have one on board today, Austin Belke, and I think that's our lone on board this evening. It is indeed. So we're going to get his perspective starting from sixth, solidly in the mid-pack. If that doesn't give us action, I don't know what will.
Yeah, that's going to be a good area to check out. There's going to be a lot of bumping and banging, I think, as these drivers try to navigate this track as it rubbers in a little bit more.
Yeah, now it's going to change much more drastically, as it'll have essentially 3 times as many cars putting wear and tear on it than what we saw in any of the heat races or the consolation for that matter, which also only held 4 machines. So I got to go around one more time behind the pace truck, and then we're good. They're giving a wide berth to the pace truck, though. That's Hargraves backing them up and then some.
Yeah, very much so. Not something we've seen a whole lot in this series, that kind of mind game there from Brandon Hargreaves.
Well, sometimes you need every edge you can get, and some of those are psychological. Pace truck already down into 3 as they're still in the middle of the backstretch. It is a half-mile oval, so this might be somewhat exaggerated by the short length of the lap around here. But the pace truck is in. Green flag is out. Immediate jump from the 71. Billy Northcutt probably wants to cover off J.R. Shepard, but he can't. They're going to stay side by side. Shepard drifts upwards. Wilson has to check up.
Yeah, big check up there from Wilson, and it looks like Proudfoot's going to try to take a move down onto the inside of J.R. Shepard. Tries to hold it, but oh, Shepard's going to have the momentum as that was a big tail slide there from Brandon Proudfoot.
Working their way through 1 and 2, and P1 and 2 have essentially got themselves sorted into a line. The real battle is between our 3rd, 4th, and 5th place drivers. That is J.R. Shepard, Brandon Proudfoot, and I think Brennan Myers. I thought they had someone else in there. Actually, it looks like it might be Billy Northcutt, and we got a caution. Bobby Hayes looks off pace. Did he cause this one?
I think he might have, Joe. I definitely saw a little bit of tail wiggle out of him coming through the corner. Not seeing a lot of damage from the 13 at this moment, though.
That was Belke who tipped him and turned him around. Gonna watch from his perspective. He's the red and black car there you see through the windscreen. He just sent it into tough.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. That Hayes got a little bit sideways there in the corner. Belke wasn't fully prepared for it. Just got into that left quarter panel, or that left rear quarter panel, and that's what sent him around.
Only on lap 5 of 40 rather. So didn't get very far into those green flag laps. So it felt like we had a few, but now we slow it down once again and try to get this restarted and get all 40 laps in. So as the pace truck gets ready to give way, Hargreaves once again doubled up and ready to accelerate quickly. Look at Northcutt try to hang back a little, just make sure he has eyes on him. And when he takes off, excuse me, no, they are not lined up yet. They got one more to go before they accelerate away.
Yeah, so they're going to get this all re-spooled here and ready to go. Relatively clean racing from the front of the pack, although we did see a little bit more of those internet issues from J.R. Shepard. But I think these top 4, it's really anybody's game at this point.
That's what we like to see, though. Some unpredictability, especially after the second season of Proudfoot domination with already 5 wins, nearly half on the season as a whole. Pace truck is in. Northcutt accelerates away. It's a good start for him. And J.R. Shepard looks like he might try something on the inside of Northcutt. But once again, his internet fails him. He blinks, backs out of it. So I think Northcutt will retain second. But could we have Proudfoot into third, maybe?
We very well could. He's trying to make the press here, but he's boxed in a little bit there from Shepard and Northcutt. Proudfoot still trying around the outside, though, making to see what he can have work here. Able to carry that momentum, and Proudfoot now able to get the move around into third.
Oof, J.R. Shepard not liking this track today. Ooh, behind them a little bit of contact. Oh, and that's going to set off a chain reaction with Jason Best getting the worst of it. And Jason started this from 10th. He was up to, let's see, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. So he was up 3 positions. Yeah, you're going to see Davis get into, I think that was Myers.
It was indeed, Joe. And yeah, that was just kind of a little bit of a concertina effect on a dirt track. Everybody coming together, and then because of the long nature of these corners, you lose a lot more speed than you would expect in the middle of the corner. And so you see there, everybody comes together and just a little bit of a dink, and that sends everybody around.
Like a canyon between those walls. Eventually you run out of room. Thankfully, it didn't look like it caused too drastic of problems. We still have not had any car into the pits during this feature race, so nobody's taken their spare car. They're all out there still running, thinking that it is in good enough shape to keep it moving. But they've got to keep it moving for still 3/4 of this race left to go.
Yeah, plenty of time to get everything wound back up here. The order up front in the top 2, it still remains the same, so we're going to have to see if Proudfoot and Shepard can crack into that front row here at some point.
Absolutely. Lights are still on, so we'll go around one more time. All 13 drivers still running, but we've been plagued with some cautions here at Volusia. Getting slowed down, can't quite seem to get the pace up and rolling and on its way. We're going to restart on lap 13, so getting closer to that halfway mark. Will anybody be able to start making some moves on others around them as they all get lined up side by side, waiting anxiously for the green flag? Hargraves so far has led every single lap of this feature. I'm sure he'd like to continue to lead these all the way until the checkers, and as the green flag comes out, ooh, didn't get as good of a jump over Northcutt that time, it felt like.
No, in fact, Brandon Proudfoot almost got to the back of him. Real squirrely there off the line. They're going to be 3 wide coming out of turn 2. Shepard and Proudfoot power on by with Myers even taking a look now.
Look at that wily move out of J.R. Shepard. Almost got himself into second place. You can see him blinking a little bit, though. But that's going to shuffle Northcutt back to 5th position. 3 wide once again. And Northcutt is the one getting sideways. He's bumped by Belke and Wilson, but everybody is still rolling.
Everybody's still going, but some damage to the left front of Austin Belke's car. That car has taken a couple of licks at this point. There you can see Davis and Myers really fighting it out, going a slide job there. Little bit of bumping and shoving coming through the corner. Looks like Myers is going to have the advantage through into 2, but Davis able to carry a little bit more momentum, but it's going to be Myers still ahead by a little bit coming into 3.
This is a great performance from Myers. Started in 8th spot, up to 4th position, crossover behind him as Joe Segala sees a mirror full of Chris Davis, 3 wide down into turn 1. And he can't quite slide up in front of the 81. He gets balked by Brennan Myers, still retaining 3rd.
Does indeed, getting very, very dicey.
We have a pass for the lead. Brandon Proudfoot has gotten to the inside of Hargraves. Someone finally has the pass for Hargraves, and it looks like once again it is Brandon Proudfoot. Has he got this one done? He does.
Yeah, he's going to hold it in front there, Joe, but here comes Hargraves trying to take a look down the inside, seeing if he can maybe throw a slider or just hold that inside line to perfection. A little bit of a sideways look from both of them. They're very close. Up behind was Hargraves, almost contact between him and the 22.
You wonder if that is the final nail in the coffin for the lead for Hargraves, or does he have anything to try and get it back from the 22? Certainly came on aggressive and did not waste time, but we're seeing J.R. Shepard cause both of them nervousness. The internet connection's still not clearing up, and now we have essentially hit that halfway marker.
We have indeed, and look at that lead. Brandon Proudfoot is starting to extend the gap up to about 0.3 of a second. J.R. Shepard starting to push.
This is bad news for Hargraves. This is exactly when he needs to start making an indent on Proudfoot, especially since Proudfoot has not been qualifying well, and that is also worth points in this series. As they come down through 3 and 4. They're being chased by J.R. Shepard with no worries about Chris Davis. He and Myers have been battling side by side along with, it looks like, Northcutt, who's lost out ever since he had that incident early on.
Yeah, not really able to move up too far at all, but these 3 up front keeping our eyes focused here. Hargraves rather trying to take a little bit of a look down to the inside of Proudfoot. Proudfoot doing his best to keep it at bay.
Looking at the battle for fourth place, Myers has managed to stay in front of Billy Northcutt. This has got to be frustrating for the double lot. He's going to try it anyways and get the car to the inside. Can he complete the pass? This is where he's been struggling, just keeping the momentum off the corner. And indeed, he can't make it stick this time.
Nah, not able to. There, the momentum really helping out. Brendan Myers able to pull it out ahead again. So Myers having the run of his life here. Now it looks like Northcutt's going to try a little bit of a higher line than from Myers. Myers gets a little squirrely coming off at 2. Ooh, barely avoiding the wall there was Billy Northcutt.
Things getting intense back here in this battle for fourth position off the podium. Northcutt almost appears as though he wants to just get himself out of it, thinking he's got better pace than both of these on either side of him, as Davis pinches down low. Can't make the pass, but neither can Billy Northcutt. He gives another shot, but that powder blue 25 will not be denied.
No, he certainly won't. Keeping it up, and they're going to try to go 3 wide as Chris Davis throws a move down the inside, but backs out of it ever so slightly. Very close there between Northcutt and Myers. Little bit of contact on the straight.
Wow. We still got a fair bit of racing left to go. If this ends in another caution, they're going to feel rather sheepish. Of course, none of these three in the championship hunt chucking it in down the middle. My goodness. It appears as though Northcutt does have no fear, and instead he's the one taking Hargrave's strategy that we suggested. Basically, let the chips fall where they may and drive that thing 110%.
Exactly, and that is exactly what he is doing. Just look at how high Brendan Myers is going there. Ooh, a little bit of contact there, I think, between Davis and Billy Northcutt, but Northcutt on that middle line, able to hold down some good speed. They're going to come down the straightaway here, dive down into the corner again. Northcutt going low, has to check up ever so slightly to make sure he doesn't run into that 25 of Brendan Myers.
And as close as that's been, first, second, and third have been quite literally nose to tail for some laps now. J.R. Shepard fancies a chance. He can't quite get it in there. But these drivers have had nothing separate them. There are no car lengths between them. They've been looking exactly like this.
Yeah, they are just absolutely nose astern. You get the sense that they are just ready to launch a massive, massive assault whenever they can. Ooh, little bit of potential contact there. A lot straighter of a line coming into the corner for William Hargrave. Shepard has to check up ever so slightly.
And we got a caution. Oh no, Davis with some big damage. Trying to figure out what caused this. I think he was involved with Wilson and Northcutt, although Northcutt, I think, maybe got away from it. Yeah, just barely. Look at that escape.
Very lucky.
If we get a rear view from him, that'll be something to behold. This is looking forward from Northcutt. Yeah, the accident had just happened. They were inches away from tipping him across. And around they go. Well, Chris Davis is going to be our first one to have to take that spare car. He's back out. And you're right. He managed to do it without losing a lap.
Well, there you go. Thank the half-mile nature of Volusia. Davis able to get out, and he is going to be lining up 13th in the back of the field. But that is where he will be starting, and not a lap down.
So the drivers that don't like this have got to be Proudfoot, Hargraves, and Shepard, because this allows Brendan Myers and Billy Northcutt to reel them back in. They had separated themselves by a couple seconds even over the rest of the pack. With the low line not able to make passes, though, those on the inside, do you think they'll have an advantage here, or is it not going to really do them much?
Well, it's gonna be interesting to see. I think on that low line, it's just gonna be about trying to get the bite off of the line as best as possible. But this is where it's all gonna come down to. 8 laps to go, an absolute shootout. And Joe, I said it was like a cork in the bottle. These guys are gonna be going for broke when this green flag comes out.
They'll only get 7 laps to try and do it, and they do not have green-white checkers in this series. Pace truck is in. No hesitation whatsoever from Proudfoot. He is on it. Behind him, Hargraves trying to cover off J.R. Shepard. Then you got the side-by-side battle for fourth place. Myers to the high side, Northcutt to the low side. They're going to be joined by Austin Belkey. And he has got the Jason Best's number 47 in there as well.
Yeah, they are, and William Hargraves right up the tailpipe there of Brandon Proudfoot, trying to slide around the outside, not able to carry the momentum. That gap's going to grow a little bit. There you see out the view of Proudfoot's rearview bumper. A little bit of contact there, potentially, or maybe just some ghost contact. Oh, as Brendan Myers gets spun around, gets into the side of Billy Northcutt, but they're going to straighten out, and we're going to stay green.
Wow. And Hargraves now going to try on Proudfoot. Don't need to go to a replay, but we had an accident with Hazlip, Seneca, and Davis. Davis had a DNF because he got turned on his lid, but there was no traffic coming, so it deemed it no caution. Meanwhile, on the underside of the 22, the 71 knows he's really got to start chipping away at that points lead. If nothing else, he needs an ego boost. William Hargraves wants to beat Brandon Proudfoot. He's got 2 or 3.5 laps to try and do it.
He is indeed. We're going to go on board with Hargraves here, and that is Davis just up the road. That could throw a little, or excuse me, that's Hazel up the road, so that could throw something up. But he has only got a few laps to do this. Hargraves trying to give it everything that he can.
Really wheeling that car, but I don't think there's enough there. As close as he got a few times, I think things have finally calmed down, and the 22 looks like he's got this under control. I doubt we'll see Hazlip cause a problem here. He's an experienced veteran of this series.
He is indeed. He'll know to get out of the way as they take the white flag if they get that close to him. Only about 1.5 seconds up the road as it is. Oh, but there comes Hargraves trying to make a loop down the inside of Proudfoot. They're going to be line astern, crossing the line with the white flag.
How aggressive does William try to go? Brandon Proudfoot holds the track position, the advantage, which seems to have counted for much more than anything else tonight. He's going to go low. Could we see a switchback from Hargraves? He tries to get the speed, but no. Brandon Proudfoot is going to win here tonight for round 9 at Volusia. Hargraves in second. J.R. Shepard fell away at the end, but he still gets himself a well-earned podium position. But that is going to take us to a quick break. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to Volusia Speedway. We just watched round 9 of the Bootleg Racing League Dirt Street Stock Series, and Brandon Proudfoot has added to that tally. He has now won more than half of the races this season. That'll extend his gap over second place finisher William Hargraves, who will likely overtake J.R. Shepard now in the points and get back that second spot as J.R. finished third. Billy Northcutt was P4 with Brennan Myers in the 5th position, and 6 went to Jason Best.
Austin Belke was able to come home in P7, followed by Joe Segala and Jason Wilson, or John Wilson, with Bobby Hayes rounding out your top 10. In 11th was Ryan Seneker, followed by Chris Hazlip and Chris Davis, ending up the race with a bit of disappointment after running in the top 5 early on.
That takes us to our winner this evening, Brandon Proudfoot. Brandon, if I didn't know any better, I'd say that you keep doing this qualifying thing because you like to have a little more fun passing people, but you've already told us the reasoning. Is there anything you can do to change this and get yourself back up to the top step?
Honestly, practice in the cleaner conditions, I guess, but with me being a World of Outlaw Pro Series veteran, these slick tracks is where usually where it's transitioning to the later track is usually at my strongest point. That's what I was able to use tonight to get around William. Track was real tight.
It looked very difficult to pass out there. It's kind of impressive that you made up as many positions as you did and got up to the front. What was the secret to try and get past people today? Because in the heat races, it looked like very few could manage that.
Not breaking the rear traction. At a track like Volusia, it's where you technically really only have one straightaway. Momentum is the big key here, which you've seen there. Throughout pretty much the whole race there. That slider line was pretty dominant, just like it was last season here. But yeah, it's really about not breaking that traction and paying attention to where that track breaks down and seeing where possibly you can get the edge. And for me, it was 3 and 4 tonight.
Only 2 more rounds remain. You've got a healthy gap over everybody else in the championship. What do you do from here? Do you just points race, or do you keep going for broke and see how many of the rounds you can win?
Just kind of do the same thing every week. These guys here are all respectful. You don't have to worry about people trying to throw a huge door to try to get a position in an LCQ or anything like that. So compared to some other series where there's a little bit of spite, aggression, revenge, what it may be, it's just another week here at Bootleg Racing League. It's no demeanor changes, whether it's week 1 or week 12.
Oh, we love seeing the camaraderie you guys have out there. Congratulations on another win, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you in these last 2 rounds some more.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Fistful of Bourbon. Winners get whiskey, baby. General Tire, Polar Stars GR, St. Racing Fabrications. You guys for doing the broadcast. Lowell for bringing us back here after the 2-week break from Memorial Day. Rigid Industries, Dirtfish, ASP XTV Axles, Gibson Performance Exhaust, Cronus, Chris Leone Motorsport Drop, all the family downstairs. I'm sure you probably heard it in the chat. Mother's doing this week. Congratulations to my sister Courtney on graduating. And you'll be going up to college. You're getting old. And I'm making me older. And you guys for doing the broadcast.
Thanks for that, Brandon. Always has quite a list there. And I believe DJ has our second place finisher, William Hargraves, who was up front for most of this race.
He was indeed, William. Got to imagine you're a little bit disappointed there to lose out to Brandon, but one heck of a race you two put on. That had to be a good time to run.
Yeah, for sure. That it was a good fun race there, man. I always just end up making a mistake in the race a little bit. Just a little bit is all it takes. And Brandon, man, he takes advantage of that every single time. And he's just one tough cat. You can't pass him back. Real tight racing though. One line, but I mean, hey, it was good for the fans.
Well, I can tell you from this fan in the booth, it certainly was. It looked like it was getting harder and harder to run alternate lines as the race went along. Was that something you were experiencing, or was that just the commentators up here being a little crazy?
No, it most definitely was there. I think we went green there at the end on lap 35. And I did try. I was on the back of Brandon there, and it was either try something or just ride behind him. But and when I went down there, I lost some time to him. I was able to catch back up to him there at the end, but it's just too late and one line groove here. So, I mean, congrats to Brandon for sure, and also a good run to JR. So good night overall.
I would certainly say it was. Now, only a couple of races left here to go in this season. And next up, we go to a little bit of a shorter track at Limaland. How do you think that's going to go?
That should be a pretty fun race for sure. I don't know. I think it'll be for the most part one line. We'll find out. Hopefully, maybe at the end of the race, the bottom comes back in and they kind of equal out there. We'll see what happens, but it should be entertaining for sure.
I know we're looking forward to it for sure. Anybody you'd like to thank for this second place here tonight?
I'd just like to thank you guys for doing the broadcast and everybody in the BRL league. I got to thank Dirt Panda, all my racing teammates, Viv's Retail Liquor, and Melm Electric and Blue Sky Builders.
Well, that was your second place finisher, William Hargraves. A great run from him. And now Joe Peak is caught up with your third place finisher, J.R. Shepard.
Indeed, JR. First thing I want to ask is we kept seeing a lot of blinking from you. It didn't look like you have the greatest connections from our end. Were you aware of that at all in the car? Or did you notice anything?
Yeah, I knew about it. From my view, it looked fine. I could see everybody, but yeah, guys were telling me that I was blinking a bit, and I tried to pull off a few times, and they told me not to. But yeah, looking at the broadcast, it looked pretty bad. So I don't know what was going on tonight. Everything on the computer end looks good, but yeah, definitely having a connection problem.
Now, one of those stints, you, Proudfoot, and Hargraves were literally running nose to tail, and yet weren't overtaking all that much. What were you kind of biding your time? Were you just hanging out back there? Or was that your maximum pace?
I was trying to learn more than anything. Those guys are the ones that are always up front and know what they're doing. So just trying to fill the car out in the track and see what I might be able to do different for late in the race. So I hated to see that last caution. I just I couldn't take off like those guys did. They did a great job. So that was all I had at the end for sure. But yeah, I really enjoyed the middle portion of that race.
Certainly looked exciting from our perspective. Leaving Volusia behind, we head on over to Limaland. I think that's another quarter miler, so tiny little track. You looking forward to getting to one of the short ones?
Yeah, I usually enjoy running on the shorter ovals for sure. Hopefully it doesn't become a one-groove track, but it more than likely will be. We'll just have to see how it is when we get there next week and try to adjust what we're doing and go from there. But hopefully it puts on a good show for everybody that's watching us.
Absolutely. I do remember that one being pretty tough, unfortunately. Well, congratulations on another podium, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you again next week.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
That was J.R. Shepard, third place finisher, and wrapping up our interviews for tonight. So before we go, we do want to thank as well the Bootleg Racing League for bringing us back for another season of coverage of their Dirt Street Stock series. And also we want to thank the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get hold of more of her great work. And thanks to the team today, DJ, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check out our social media through the outlets listed at the bottom of the screen. And if you'd like to support the channel, check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. The link is in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. The next race, as we mentioned, is at Limaland. That'll be Friday, June 11th at 7 p.m. Eastern. But we have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.